Opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
This is KGUM-FM, Wave 105.1, the Talk of Guam. It's 11:10 a.m. on this Thursday, August 2026. And right now for your regularly scheduled programming, we have UOG Sustainability Waves with Mr. Jared Castro. This is the program every Thursday between 11 to 12, where you can catch the University of Guam, Sea Grant, G3, Center for Island Sustainability, and EPSCoR every Thursday between 11 to 12 for an engaging conversation with scientists, biologists, community members to learn about the latest initiatives for sustainable Guam and discover how you can make a difference. We are streaming online at thewave105.com, on YouTube Wave 105.1 FM Guam, and the Glimpses Radio app. Our studio line is 671-922-1051, 1052 to join in this conversation. Once again, this is UOG Sustainability Waves. Thank you for tuning in to KGUM-FM, Wave 105.1.
Hafa day and good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for the warm introduction, Yuli. I am so excited to be here again today on Sustainability Waves. My name is Jared Castro with the University of Guam Center for Island Sustainability and Sea Grant, where I work for the Guam Green Growth Segment, which is Guam's largest public and private partnership, creating a sustainable future and really the implementation plans and programs that follow it. As you all know, we have recently started the school year at the University of Guam, and we have opened up late registration into next week. I do have an ongoing conversation right now with one of our reps from the team at enrollment management, who is going to get us a little bit more information on the last few steps that you can do for late registration and how you can basically sign up within the next week or so if you find yourself resonating with the fact that you want to enroll or re-enroll at the University of Guam. But in addition to main campus news, the main reason why we're here for Sustainability Waves is really to push a little bit more on our Sustainable Future Action Plan and what we're doing towards working the Guam Green Growth Initiative, or the Center for Island Sustainability and Sea Grant mission as a whole. I'm excited to share the space today with Tomas. Moss, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hafre, everyone. Pleasure to be back here. Always a blessing to be around Jared again. My fellow housemate, and now we're on the air together again. So
I know. It's
always a blessing,
time.
man. So, blessed to also work out of the UOG Center for Island Sustainability and Sea Grant, working as one of the program coordinators in our workforce development. I serve as our program coordinator for the G3 Grow Core, which we'll dive into a little bit later on today. And proud to be where I am right now.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for introducing yourself, Moss. We're actually going to go into a little bit of Moss's story of how he really started with the Grow Core, or how he's really led the Grow Core last year. For anybody who might be listening, last week we did have Moss on more so with his return, coming back from receiving his master's degree in public admin, and then kind of finding his footing over the summer with a little bit of a supervisory management role in the Youth Corps, and then coming out of a year of managing a 5-month program with the Grow Corps first, I guess you could say first cohort last year. That last week was really a better way to get to know some of our team members, and we've been doing these segments on the show of really introducing different members of the team, what their scope of work is, and kind of their origin story. So if you were not able to catch it last week, Moss does have a show segment on YouTube, again under Sustainability Waves, with 105.1. The main reason why we're here today is to talk about the Grow Conservation Corps. So what Grow Conservation Corps really stands for is Guam Restoration of Watershed, which is a program specifically managed out of the Ugum watershed in the south.
Correct.
I think this year we might be going into a few other locations, a few other host locations, I guess is something we call it. I won't speak too much on it, and Moss will kind of go there. But it'll be our second cohort. We do have a Grow I guess you can say it's a little bit more of like an expedited program that we have running right now.
Yeah, a
where
little
we have-
support unit.
Yeah, a little bit more of a support unit and like a project site. Like they're doing a lot of analysis and then even application of management. But we do have like an interim core at the moment. Next month is when we will launch the official Guam Restoration of Watershed's second season or second cohort, which really prepares our community for the emerging green economy, with a specific focus on forestry and watershed restoration. The Guam Green Growth segment is recruiting 6 core members for a 5-month workforce development program in sustainability. Some of the things that the applicant, and if awarded, will be able to experience some of the lessons and activities that apply are watershed restoration, reforestation, seed collection, propagation, nursery maintenance, planting methods, site preparation, fire break maintenance, tree pruning, tree inventory, wood utilization, data collection and evaluation, and most especially island beautification. For anybody who is aware of what the Guam Green Growth Workforce Development Programs really house, it really is this encompassing program that really builds and helps us sustain what a sustainable future would really look like. It is a pretty competitive program. There are about 6 slots open. Mm-hmm. As of last year, we had a little bit over like 20.
We had over 50 last year
Over
for the
50.
first cohort of this, and that was a big
50
surprise.
applicants. 50
Yeah,
applicants,
and
yeah.
this is a pretty niche approach. Like our conservation core, I definitely understand because you can find a lot of people that are super invested into plants and animals, and some that are very invested into the water and the wildlife, that's around there. So having over 50 applicants for the first cohort last year, that was very surprising, and hopefully we can find that same competitive nature this year. And as you listed all the different activities, it's a well-versed, multi-pronged approach that we're taking with this core. It's starting a little later into the rainy season. Around September 21st is the start date for this program, and they're going to end around February 5th. So this core is going to have both approaches from the rainy season of plantings to the dry season with the fire breaks because of all the different wildfires that happen
Not too specific into it. We have a whole hour to talk
That's
about
true.
this. So,
That's true.
So really quickly, as what Moss was sharing, it's really that high level understanding of watershed restoration, reforestation, some things like island beautification, and he's going to walk us through what this really looks like, what the activities look like, what onboarding might look like, and what I really wanted to get across for anybody who has just tuned in is it's a competitive program. Over 50 applicants last year. We awarded 6 members. They went through a 5-month period, and compensation is nothing shy of $1,258 every 2 weeks at a competitive rate of $16.14 an hour.
Yeah.
You're looking at a 39-hour per work week, about 40 hours as a whole, program for 5 months, where the core members must work together following a weekly schedule that is typically from Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. During some of those weeks, the shifts might look like the following: 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. or shifts on Saturdays for community outplantings. If you weren't listening earlier, if you've maybe just you're catching the show for the first time, tree plantings do take place in the Ugam watershed, the most prevalent ones.
Yeah.
And last year, what I really want to commend the team, most especially Moss and Josh's team as a whole, is we planted over 5,000. I'm even being a little bit more conservative. I want to say it was above 6.
Yeah, I think a little over 6.
But I'm going to say 5 just because I haven't looked at the impact report this week that I wanted to just confirm my numbers. But literally over 5,000 trees at the Ugam watershed that help with the watershed restoration. I've been using all of these terms, lessons, and activities that a core member is going to really experience during this time, but I'm going to hand it over to Moss. And what I really am hoping that the listener, whether you're driving or at the office or you're tuning into this at a later time, what you're hearing is really how community work, when it meets a genuine talent and we are able to acquire them from a talent perspective, right? If this is a competitive field you want to be in, the compensation is amazing, the team orientation is there, but the reality is the impact and mission driven work that we get to do is, I'd like to believe, is one of the biggest highlights as a whole, and seeing the long lasting effects that we have on the island. So I'll hand it over to Moss if you want to walk us through really how the Grow Core started, where you were at the time when you heard about the core program specifically, so that being the cohort, and what were you doing and how did you transition into your role today? If you can just reintroduce what your role is.
For sure, man. Yeah, so I've been with the UOG Center for Island Sustainability and Sea Grant for just over, let's see, is that 3 years now? two and a half. Started with our flagship workforce development program, the Conservation Corps, in February of 2024. Went through that whole 5 month program with 11 other awesome colleagues that were part of our season 4. And from there was able to be picked up a couple weeks later as a program coordinator that served as an outreach liaison basically for our Center for Community Energy and Environmental Justice. And then from there pivoted to our Perceptions on Ocean Energy the next year. And after that, in the summer, the department was awarded a pass-through grant from the COOP organization in Hawaii, which came from the U.S. Forest Service out of the federal government. So we managed to secure $250,000 for that first year, and then we provided the deliverables for that first year. But okay, I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. But diving into the history bit for that amount, so was tagged to be the program coordinator for this, and we set up the program for 5 months throughout the rainy season last year, and we decided to launch it very similar to our Conservation Corp because we saw how much success we've had for the last 5 years with it, and we just wanted to continue developing new individuals in this program. So instead of folks that, everyone, a good amount of folks on the island, right? We all know how to bush cut and understand certain things in the environment, but not everyone has the eye to understand different plant identification and the whole ridge to reef approach, how everything is connected on this island, how the southern part of the island is different compared to the north. That's a whole different conversation. But basically, our Grow Corps focuses within that Ugum watershed because of its proximity to the Ugum treatment plant down in next to the Lazon landfill. This is basically in Malolo. So if you'll see our flyers out there for community outplantings, you'll see Grow in Malolo. And that will happen. That will continue to happen every year with at least 4 different tree plantings, depending on our efficiency, And like you said, we have a support unit going on right now. So anyone can come by once we have that up on our socials. So going back into that first year of the cohort, we managed to secure 6 folks that have never been within the Guam Green Growth Program at all. We had one person who was as young as 18 going on 19 years old. Fresh out of high school. She just graduated high school the month before, but she already had prior experience from the Department of Agriculture hosting summer youth employees since the pandemic. And we also had our oldest member who was 44 years old, just came out of or just retired from the U.S. Army, indeed. So, he was actually in his final 6 months, that phase where it's time to find a new career. That's what he was going through when he found us, and he managed to pitch it back to the Army that this is something that he's giving back to the community. He already secured it with us, and that we're trying to provide as much opportunities afterward as well. So
and just to piggyback off of the talent that you're able to acquire for this specific first kickoff season, I guess you could say. It was pretty competitive, and we keep using that word, but you also had someone who had just returned to Guam a couple years prior from an undergrad program at the I want to say it was in the Upper West.
They came out of Washington. They're born and raised on Guam, but then they managed to come back, with their family. So the fact that they were willing to come back and serve in a community.
You even have a fresh college grad, I think. I don't want to say his name, but it was Caleb. Yeah, right.
No, I think he went to school for a bit, and so did one of the other members. But they wanted to pursue a career approach, and especially when the pandemic hit, while they were in college. So I understand that online school is not for everyone. Yeah. So they decided to go the career route, but then when they found our program last year, they managed to pivot, and then now they continue to serve in conservation careers, those 2 individuals that were in school. So, what a big blessing that, they had a start in something. They might have not seen their true fruits of their labor at the time, but now they saw that their work ethic could extremely be rewarded. One of them works for a nonprofit organization. Another works for Colorado State University through our Center for Environmental Management of Military Land. So, just having that multifaceted approach, we're really seeing how these individuals can branch out. One of our members from last year also is now a small business owner. So we're seeing how our approach through G3 is really providing the circular economy and on developing these folks to continue their careers in whatever way we can. So, yeah, that's a synopsis of last year.
That's amazing. So walk us through a little bit of, and I can help kind of guide the conversation on my end, right? Like what the application process might look like and the first day, right? So,
Yeah,
so you
I
get
got
an
you
influx of 50 plus people.
Mm-hmm.
For anybody who might be listening, I also work for the Guam Green Growth Initiative with Moss, but on a completely different segment and a different
True.
Scale. It's
We
very
touch base every
parallel.
now and
It's
then,
very
but
parallel to each other, but we're all working towards the same end goal, which is really what it is, and
True.
it's building the sustainable future or sustaining it as a whole. And when we share that it is a pretty competitive space, when you see the talent that comes in, it's really, people are willing to leave full-time jobs.
Mm-hmm.
People are, if anything, getting a kickoff in their career, finishing high school and letting this, or have just finished high school and let this be their first taste of what the workforce will really look like. I'm speaking from an end that I am not a Conservation Corps alumni, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have never worked in the field. In that field specifically, I'm not saying literally, but I've never worked.
I've
in that
seen your
field.
shoes get dirty, bro.
For sure. I have my PPE, as
Yeah.
some might call it, but I haven't. And the reason why I'm stopping to really kind of hone in on applauding applicants and people who really decide to leave a full-time job is this is a 5-month period of intense work. And it's not that nothing is necessarily promised at the end, but the people who are leaving a full-time job know that they are coming into a cohort-like job, and they really believe in it. And something that I'm really happy to stop and share is, as someone who doesn't manage the program and looking at it, it's wonderful to see these people take, a step. I don't want to say a risk, because it's not a risk, but I guess it is. Take a step towards a cohort-driven job and leave something that might be a little bit more secure, quote unquote, and to join this program and really see the fruits of their labor actually come to life, and to see the life cycle meet itself, which is when they are hired from a partner agency, when the applicant is using the time. So Masa will kind of walk everyone through it, using their resume skill, building capacity workshops hosted by our I guess she's a little bit more of our senior project coordinator, Anania. What she'll really do is sit down with the team and help them figure out how to make their resume as competitive as possible. What's really cool is when you see someone leave a full-time job or again, pick this field to where they want, as to what they want to start in, and you see them get hired during, like it's as competitive as during the program, or awarded a job completely right after, or some of them even returning to their job that they had prior. It is so rewarding to see, because they go in with a new skill set of the Green Economic Workforce Development Program, and they're acquired pretty quickly. These people are applying it day to day. So I just wanted to kind of stop and share that it's really wonderful to see it come full circle. So I'll hand it back over to you, Mas. What does the first day kind of look like for when the applicant is awarded? So they come in, we have an opening ceremony. What does that look like?
So the first day, we try to have the opening ceremony on the first day. It depends on availability for both our campus facilities and our other related stakeholders, because we want anyone that's coming into the program to really see the eyes and the hands that have been behind this program since the very beginning. So if it's not beginning with that opening ceremony, we try to begin with the orientation, allow them to understand everything that's going on within Guam Green Growth, because they might only understand that, we work for Guam Green Growth, which, like, in a way, sure, but then we work for our CIS and C grant.
Yeah.
G3 is a whole initiative.
Like a segment,
yeah, so we have to explain that, and then we have our safety training so that these folks can understand that these are the, like you said, the PPEs that you mentioned, and even how to use those PPEs and the different procedures that we need to be, especially we're out in the field for 5 to 7 hours a day, so these folks need to be ready and understand that this is going to be hard work. So that's what the first day is like.
Walk us through what the training is like. So we for anybody who might be listening, we have a pretty formal kickoff. It's our senior leadership team is there. Oftentimes the main campus senior leadership team is there. So President Enriquez or Dr. Shar will join us. We have Dr. Shelton with us as well. That's always without a doubt. Sometimes we'll get some of the legislature there as well. But there's a formal kickoff, right? Because what we're really doing is is committing and saying sustainability has their stakes in the ground as an industry, as an economic impact driver. So you'll see that, and oftentimes it is picked up, whether it's on social, etc. But what I really want the listener to hear from Moss is what that PPE distribution and training might look like. Walk us through maybe more of the green, like when I say green, I'm talking about like new talent, like how is their reaction to what they're being handed, or what does that I guess when you're training the skill set and how their eyes are a little bit more excited, what they get excited about during training.
Yeah, so it's like you just to jump back to the professional ceremony just a little bit. So
Yeah.
I forgot that, we managed to kick off the ceremony on the first day of last year's cohort.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, like all the different programs that I help with, it gets a little bit jumbled. But that one, actually, I can remember clearly that it happened on the first day. We gave them their polos that are representing this local lemma and dugdug. But, apart from that, after they see all the dignitaries, we allow the members that are freshly acquired into our program to give a little statement, say who they are, where they come from, and what they most look forward to in the program. After that, we do a little photo shoot with our sustainable development goals, embrace the Guam green growth. And then after we have our, when we begin our trainings, we have our UOG safety officer come in. So he gives his presentation on heat safety, hazard preparedness, personal protective equipment. So at least 3 to 4 hours of that safety training. Afterward, we even provide these folks first aid and CPR training just in case. Indeed, man. Like, and they can put that in their resume for at least 2 years, certified by the American Red Cross. So these folks can continue to use that for other careers that they need, especially being out in the field. Like we work around hand
That's all
saws,
covered.
chainsaws, bush cutters. Indeed.
Got it,
So we have these folks don't have to pay for that training. I don't want any of them to think that like, oh, because it's a professional certification, I now have to pay. No, this is our investment from the department that we're going to pay into it.
this.
Indeed. So as a member of the University of Guam, we do get that safety training for free as well. And that first aid training happens the next day. We go down to one of our suppliers to get safety boots as well. So these folks, no matter what, rain or shine, they're down with it. The boots are waterproof. We provide them that stipend so that they're able to acquire those boots. It's not lavish. It's not a Calvin Klein or Coach boots for sure, but
I wish.
they're good enough,
Well,
and they're out there in the field.
I wish I had a pair, because one time I had to go on a field day for whoever might be listening. Because that's something that I really do. I wouldn't say I enjoy it every day, but I do enjoy making sure that when there are days that I can join the team to really get my hands on, I was going to say the product, but to really get my hands in the field work that is what gives me the opportunity to do the job that I get to have today. I make time to do it, and I'm sharing this because it was so funny when we went on one of our site visits.
Our expeditions.
And I had zero proper, I shouldn't be saying this on the air, but I will. I didn't have the proper shoe PPE, and I just saw the way that the conservation workers were able to climb and get like to the destination quicker. Obviously we were all safe and we had closed toes and everything like that, but the PPE is it works, even if it's not a branded thing, man. It's amazing. Like,
and you just have to acclimate to it, because I remember the first year I was doing the program, I was like, man, do I really have to wear this all the time? But knowing that the reason they provided, it's not just for our safety, it's like just the durability of that product, it's super convenient. So now you'll see it even in our office, right? Tristan wears boots just because it's raining.
I wish I had a pair. I need to get a pair.
We'll solidify a connection for you, and hopefully you can acquire it on your own.
Yeah. But so you'll get the PPE.
Yes.
You'll go to the provider who helps with that, and then that's maybe first, second day.
Yeah, so that should cover at least
second day. Got it.
2 to 3 days within the week, especially if the ceremony kicks off the first morning. And then by that week, we should expect to hit the field. So these folks, they don't have a whole week of onboarding. We're pretty quick and efficient with how we run things. We have the onboarding process. We try to start that even before they start, so they can fill out their forms, do what they need to do with their direct deposit, etc. But by the Thursday of that week, we could be hitting a field. And last year, we didn't just go out to the field. We already went out to do a community outplanting. These folks, they didn't even have their department branded uniforms yet, but they were already down.
Yeah.
Like we were just waiting based on shipping going on at the time, but they were willing.
Community outplanting. So what does that look like for?
So that is basically whether it is our in-house Guam Restoration Watersheds team or our local Forestry and Soil Resources Division out of the Department of Agriculture.
Direct.
They host plantings and they try to not make it intersect with each other. So at least every 2 weeks last year, we were able to attend a planting, provide support.
Would this lump into a Guam like Island Beautification Day, or this is completely different?
This is different.
That's cool.
So the
Okay.
G3 Island beautification that we do, that one's specific to the village. We coordinate with the mayor's council, and then it's each respective mayor to decide what kind of activity we do. Because this year it's stretching a little bit into the dry season, we will see what other beautifications we do, especially with the coastal villages, since we are trying to focus in on watershed restoration. So those are things we could do. Last year's group, one of the island beautifications they did without the Conservation Corps was helping clean up down in Maleso
Got
after
it.
the flooding that happened around Christmas
Yes,
Eve.
that's when I.
Which you came
Yes,
by
yes,
too,
yes, yes.
and you got your shoes dirty and your hands dirty, my friend. So
No, that was a really
your shirt was
life-changing-
soaked and everything.
Yeah, that was life changing.
Saw you lift up that dryer on your own. I was like, holy moly, dude, this guy is just grabbing it by the shell. But yeah, man. So things like that.
That
We
changed
try
my
our
life.
best.
Yeah, continue.
No matter what, we support the community in different aspects. We're not just hands that are available to support with these different efforts. We make it purpose oriented. So one thing that I also want to try out with this year is knowing that the Christmas Eve flooding happened. See how much more tree inventory we could do, and understanding if the trees that we have within our natural environments are always going to be serving that better purpose. Because you'll see, or at least in the channel last year, we saw that there was some debris from green waste or just fallen trees that were stuck there, and it allowed the flood to continue to build up. So we want to try and be proactive as much as possible, engaging with these different local communities to assess, we have hands that are ready to attack this, because the members, they all get training through the safety officer, as we mentioned. They're well versed with the hand saws, chainsaws, bush cutters. So if we need to make a path to do what we need to do, we're going to do it. So understanding that we have that watershed aspect down in Ugam with our in-house team, we're providing most of the time there. But apart from that, we also provide support to our local forestry team, and then we can also provide support to the mayor's council through those southern villages that have their own watersheds. And we want to make sure that even when we're planting trees, we're only doing it with a good purpose. We're trying to keep that soil stabilized, reduce the amount of erosion that happens from the binaru and the pigs, the wildfires, and off-roading. So all these different factors that come into play, we want to make sure that we continue to show face to the community. We're not just trying to help one person out. Like we have our contract for sure. We have our in-house growth team to assess our Ugam watershed, and we're slowly building to assess different areas on the island. We do provide support as well for those plantings. We provide outreach and engagement with different symposiums and trainings. So things like that, man.
For anyone that might be listening, you really reminded me of that time. It brings me, like, I was so emotional after. And the reason why is because for anybody who might be listening, I was fairly new I'm still pretty new in comparison to some of our team members.
Okay.
I have I'm about 2 years in, but some of our team is pretty seasoned, right? Like they have a few years ahead. And I understood what grow was. I understood what water restoration was. I really did, at the capacity that I could understand it. To see the importance in full application, which was the most unfortunate situation. For anybody who remembers last Christmas season, in December we had a really large rainfall the week of Christmas. I think it was the week of Christmas, I want to say a couple days before. And the water pour, or like just the rainwater abundance that we had was really, really wild. I'm at a loss for words walking people through this, but for anybody who might be listening, I am fully talking to you as just a level-headed community member, someone who goes home, goes into bed, and I wake up and I go to work the next day. It doesn't matter what field we both work in. That week, the rainfall was extremely wild. We had an excessive amount of rainfall. And the day after Christmas, we had gotten a call from our partners. I don't even want to mislabel which partner called. There was a handful, and Dr. Shelton had this was the day after Christmas. By the way, he had gotten a call, and he brought together a team who could go and help with residents or high residential areas, meaning like high foot traffic. Maybe it wasn't just a house, it was a place that people were having to drive through every day, or it was a spot where people maybe would be a little bit more leisurely in the south. And the water was so flooded. So what Moss was just talking about earlier was where please correct me, the way I understood it is, again, I'm just talking community level member, the rain was so high, the inches of rainfall was so high to the point where green debris was in the areas where the flood would typically mitigate itself.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was kind of sitting, or not sitting, but it was just with rainfall and watershed restoration, all of this was compiling and compacting over each other, that the flood was so high that it wasn't properly being distributed into the places it was supposed to go. With that being said, it was affecting specific roadways, community member areas, and unfortunately, the one that really changed my life was someone's home was fully impacted by this. And this was the day after Christmas. We're fully just helping a village as we can get back on their feet. And it's unfortunate, the circumstances that really brought it to life for me, but it was seeing the commercial community level area being highly affected, and then fully a residential side for me to really understand watershed restoration is extremely important to really understand what it is. I'm not saying everyone has to go and get a sustainability degree and work in the field for you to stop it, but for you to really sit and listen what the skill set is that is coming out of the talent that is applying to this competitive program, as we've been saying, the importance of it is at the base level. A home life, you're going that deep into the work. It's not this large, yes it is, right? Every day it's these large acres of land and ensuring you're protecting it, but when the management of that becomes so challenging, it does affect the home level. And I wanted to just piggyback off of that to say that's the work that you're kind of going to get into and what the program really does. And it really just shifted a lot for me in the way that I consume as well, in the waste that I accumulate, and the way that I properly also sort through things. Now, I'm not saying there is by no means that I am leading as the subject matter expert for how to practice sustainability, but it had helped me at that point. So I wanted to just say thank you for that, and to piggyback off of that for whoever might be listening. You do become the subject matter expert in your field as a Grow Corps member, but for these island beautifications, that's how impactful it is. If you're available on that Friday or Saturday, that was a
Saturday
one.
Yeah. We just found out about it on
Christmas,
that Friday, and then we coordinated with the team hey, we're going to work this Saturday, and it's for the community, it's for that purpose. And like you saw, man, that whole area around that Bank of Guam bridge, that was super intense. We found those washing machines up in that little jungle area behind or near the Himlani apartments, and we just saw that all this debris and waste was there, and there was some
blocking the place where it's supposed to flood, right?
Yeah, so the little channel beside there was 2 big trees that I remember just sitting in there, and I was like, man, so it's unfortunate that for something like that where we always say, oh, let's plant trees and we'll reduce this problem, it ends up contributing to something like that. So that's why I'm saying hopefully with the new hands that we're going to have, we're going to be able to tackle not only our activities as we need to do as a team, but also be proactive with the community, engage ourselves out there, and make sure that we're doing what we can to make sure that everyone has a safe and easygoing life, especially with how different society has become, the job market and things like that. I know we're trying to do our part here with the workforce development, but trying to assist as much folks as we can through that, and just with that team of 6, we were able to, I think it was about 5 trailers of waste. We did work alongside some Coast Guard members, some from the Navy, and I believe there was a member from each armed service that was there, and that was really impactful to know that this is a whole island movement that we're trying to assist each other. And when we got to that home where we needed to assist with waste removal and just seeing how unfortunate it is, because of how close they were to the backside of that hill, and how half of their wall, you could just see half the debris and the dirt that just accumulated from the flood that was sitting there for days, because the rain just wouldn't stop for that day before Christmas Eve. So, trying to be proactive of things like that, it's, like you said, definitely eye changing or eye opening, and
Life-changing.
yeah, life changing, man.
And for anybody who's listening, right, it's because we're here to talk about the program. We hope you apply. We hope you find the benefit in it. We could talk about salary. We could talk about wage. It's this beautiful, you're compensated gorgeously. But the reality is the exposure to the work. I'm telling you now, I sound so wild. I'm fully going off script too. It changes things. That day, it really made me understand like the importance of like when I'm leaving my home, or I'm leaving like just a residential place, how I'm not saying I'm going to save the world every day when I leave home, but I'm a little bit more vigilant on like where my flood zoning is. I'm a little bit more vigilant on like, oh my gosh, should I not be putting out my, like with GSWA, you can get rid of appliances on a certain time throughout the year.
I think you have 2 a year.
Yeah,
that's
so
free.
the reason why I'm bringing it up is because as Moss is talking about, there were these appliances that were in this flood zoning area where it the flood should have properly handled itself. It was clogging those areas. It makes me a little bit more mindful. Like right now, rainfall is a little bit heavier. You're like smiling, and I'm so proud of it because it's like, wow, you really like understand this. It makes me a little bit more mindful of like, should I be putting out my appliances to get picked up on these days when heavy rainfall happens? Because if the winds are a little bit crazier and all of this is happening, then how do I not necessarily stop it, but how do I not contribute to an issue? And it just makes you look at things a little bit more mindfully when it comes to that, because like it's a chain reaction, right? It's of this one thing. So I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of there and to share another testament as someone who's not a part of the Corps, but just from what I've learned, the impact of really understanding like what goes on in your residential area when it comes to flood zoning, to have proper communication to the right agency. I'm not saying to call them every day and say this is happening, but what I'm getting at is where that your water or like should be properly flooding, etc., like to be mindful of it, because these things happen. Like literal residential families were affected by this last holiday season where we're obviously not disclosing the families, right? But it affected their day-to-day. They weren't able to fully operate the way they wanted to. And that's even me being conservative with what I'm willing to share. It was tough, and it just goes to the team. I'm so grateful that we were able to do that.
Yeah, man, that was a team effort for sure. And it's unfortunate that like because of how rainy those days were, like we just couldn't activate till Saturday to have a safe manner. And even with all the PPEs that we could have, we don't put our members in something that would be considered hazard pay level. So we have to wait that amount of time, and just seeing this amount of community engagement, it really makes it imperative that we continue to engage our community stakeholders and say like, just your little steps here, like it will make a big difference later on, because like you said, that whole chain reaction of whether it's people's personal waste or appliances that have gone broke, like they're not active anymore. We just need to be able to like, engage each other as a community, keep each other informed. Like maybe some folks don't even know about the free appliance pickup. Some folks, they just don't have the means or like a truck or a trailer, to bring stuff down to the transfer station, and they don't have someone who can really go through all the paperwork to file for residential collection. So there's a lot of stuff that, we're trying as much as possible to navigate these different nuances and make sure that we engage the community as positively as possible, because we don't want everyone to just make it seem like, oh, this person's trash is something like illegal dumping is a very big thing.
Oh, it's
we continue to see it
bigger than
year by year, definitely. And if I remember correctly from one of the ag symposiums I attended or a planners meeting, according to the fire department, every village has an illegal dump site. And whether it's something as small as it fills up this room or whatnot, or it's some other site where it's a soccer field, things like that. We just continue to see that the community needs to be well versed in understanding, like, what other avenues could we take for this, and the circular economy movement that you're talking about, with recycling our plastics, being mindful how much do we need to really waste as a community. There's so much that goes into it, and I bring that up only because, like, that ridge to reef approach, whatever we put out in the forest will eventually make out its way to the ocean. So the effects will not only be visible on land, but it's also going to be out on our waters.
The compound
Definitely.
interest, yeah. Thank you so much for walking us through that, and honestly reminding me of that time. It was a horrific sight to witness, but it was such an amazing experience to be able to really learn and get community. It was unfortunate. It was the most unfortunate situation, but for me, as someone who is not a part of the Corps, it was like, whoa, this is every reason why we are working towards this. And it's...
You made your difference
yeah.
that day, my salute. Don't worry about it, man.
It was wild. So for anybody who might be listening, again, the Conservation Corps, specifically for the Guam Restoration of Watershed program cohort, will begin in September.
Yeah, we aim to start September 21st and February 5th next year.
It's a 5-month workforce development program in sustainability, focusing on watershed restoration, reforestation, seed collection, propagation, nursery maintenance, planting methods, site preparation, fire break maintenance, tree pruning, tree inventory, wood utilization, data collection and evaluation, and island beautification. Again, with a competitive program like this, with over 50 applicants last year and 6 members awarded, the 5-month program workforce will take place, and compensation looks like the following. Grow members who are awarded one of the six slots will receive up to $1,258.92 every 2 weeks at a rate of $16.14 an hour. What we are really looking for eligibility is that the applicant must be able to fully commit to a 39-hour work week program for 5 months. The Grow Corps member must work together following a weekly basis or a weekly schedule that is typically from Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. During some weeks where the schedule will often change and include a 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. shift. On Saturdays for community outplantings as well. The applicant must be 18 years or older, a U.S. citizen, national, or legal resident, including COFA, must have reliable transportation to the University of Guam campus, must be in good physical condition, able to lift 50 pounds or more unassisted, and must be able to work outdoors in the sun and inclement weather, hike over uneven terrain unassisted, and perform physical tasks for several hours at a time. With that being said, this is all housed through the Guam Green Growth Initiative, where we aligned the 17 United Sustainable Development Goals, the Guam Green Growth Initiative, which cultivates an ecosystem for transformative action to achieve a sustainable, prosperous, and equitable future for Guam. With that being said, I'll stop here. Over to Moss. Any sort of highlights from the first core, the last core that you've managed that you are excited to kind of kick off this year? What are you looking forward to that you really want to kind of give to this next season?
I'm honestly looking forward to new faces that are able to support us, man. And as we get those new faces and new bodies, we just continue to spread the word of G3 and understanding how much impact we could all make in the sustainable movement, because we try to bridge that gap that sustainability is not just planting trees, it's not just the environment, but it's also engaging the community and understanding our government, how we're all going to be well aligned with one another and our goals, for the future. And I would say, honestly, just developing these skills in folks. 2 of the members that we had last year just had no experience outdoors, but they were understanding of the dynamic that we have in the environment, and we were able to train them. This is a workforce development program, so we'll provide all the trainings that folks need to properly and safely use those bush cutters, handsaws, chainsaws, and still be able to make a difference. One of the interesting things about the activities that you mentioned, like wood utilization, we can take that down to the G3 makerspace after we cut it up a bit, and then people can laser cut it or laser engrave it so that they can have their own little designs and say, hey, this is wood that I cultivated out of the Ogum watershed.
Circular economy.
Indeed. Yeah. And then we also use the wood as erosion control devices, so using that to block certain planting areas, get the ground to be a little more stable. And let's see, any other highlights from there? honestly, I think it's just building another team because, like you said, cohort driven work. I feel like it's a new thing, and it's not always something that, especially if you're not in the military, like you're not always going to understand, like, this group is going to be with you the entire time. But
like in school,
at least
yeah.
for our core, like, we're always in the same van riding down to Ugum, and that's like a 40-minute drive minimum. So and getting to the university, preparing supplies together, and just things like that. We eventually become like a little family. So to continue having these little families as we go along, it's bittersweet because we manage to see how much good they can provide, how much happiness they can cultivate within themselves. But then at the end, when we have to split ways, we just the best we can do is just providing these folks other job opportunities that are related to them, things that we believe that they're qualified for, and just let's see, we also partner with like the different agencies. So we have our in-house grow team, we have our forestry division through the Guam Department of Agriculture, and then we even show them the different approaches, right, through Rich to Reef and seeing how everything affects. So we had a day with Guam Coral Reef Initiative last year, and our
Yeah, the mayor's council too.
oh, for sure,
Yeah.
with that village beautification and our Guian to Guan movement with Leilani. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're seeing how a lot of this really comes together, and hopefully the next six that we're ready to become working professionals within the field, understand that this is a 5-month program, and we'll do everything we can to secure them for the next opportunity that awaits them. It's not a apprenticeship, so we can't guarantee that they'll land a position with us afterward, but we'll do our best, man. We'll make sure they get the skills as soon as possible, and that they're able to respectfully treat each other in a cordial manner,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
out in the field,
As-
especially.
As Moss was saying, it's not an apprenticeship program. It is cohort driven, but something that you will have access to are subject matter experts in the field or people who are qualified within fields of helping you connect to the partnership agencies, the partner agencies that we work with throughout your time within the cohort. One of the things that you didn't mention that I'm really excited that a lot of people get access to when they are awarded the job is the resume building workshop. So the resume building workshop is typically hosted anywhere from 1 to 2 days. They're session based, and you'll be working with PMBA or MPA degree holders who really help you figure out how to create competitive resume components, like to really figure out like how you can land a specific job. What you're able to also do is use the subject matter expert with the Guam Green Growth Team to really connect you to a partner agency if and when there's a job open. When I say use the subject matter expert, I more so mean that is that a networking time frame, is that giving you a referral or helping you shape your resume to kind of reflect the skills that you have that might match this host site or this potential partner. That's really also the mentorship that you'll get hands-on, in addition to, again, watershed restoration, seed collection, fire break maintenance, and data collection and evaluation. Again, the program does start in September, so applications are now...
They're now open.
They're now
so
open.
You can visit our guamgreengrowth.org website. There's a little landing page button that will drive you right to the Microsoft form. So folks that are interested, continue to apply. We should be closing the form at the end of the month on August 31st, 11:59 p.m. And then we'll try to promote more through our socials regarding flyers and other past testimonials from our season. So, that's something to look forward to. Very blessed to continue to lead this team. We should have the grant for another 3 years, so at least 4 seasons of this Guam Green Growth Grow Core, and hoping that we continue to build on last year's experience. We had our deliverables of the different acres that we reforested, amount of trees that we planted, trees pruned, and then the village beautification stuff that we did alongside the Conservation Corps last year, and what we had to do on our own. So a lot to look forward to.
Times. And for anybody who might be listening that might be interested, please, again, visit us at guamgreengrowth.org. The root word or the specific word you're going to want to look for is GROW. That is GROW for Guam Restoration of Watersheds. Again, that is GROW. Whenever you get to the guamgreengrowth.org website, guide yourself using that root word, and then the application should be there under the Guam Green Growth Core program. Again, we're looking at accepting applicants that will start in September, and compensation is pretty decent. It's Grow Core members will be able to receive up to $1,258.92 every 2 weeks at a competitive hourly rate of $16.14.
It's definitely a lot for someone who
Yeah.
doesn't even need to have had a green experience or
Yeah.
a STEM degree,
Exactly. So again, feel free to visit us at guamgreengrowth.org to learn more about the Guam Restoration of Watersheds Core program. We're looking for 6 applicants to award them. And last year we had a competitive rate of about over 50 applicants as a whole. We're excited to get to know you more. Please feel free to submit your application, your resume, and all the other things that are needed for this. Hope you all have a great day. And thank you so much, Moss, for joining us on
Thank you for
Sustainability
having me.
Waves.